We're going to call the meeting for Akron City Council to order. Clerk will read the roll.
Baylor. Connor.
Here.
Freeman.
Here.
Fusco.
Here.
Kamer. Lombardo.
Here.
McKittrick.
Here.
Malik.
Here.
Neal.
Here.
Amobian.
Here.
Samples.
Here.
Somerville.
Here.
Swirsky. All members are present except for Swirsky.
Thank you. At this time, we will now be led in prayer by Minister Marissa Saunders from the House of the Lord. Immediately following our prayer, we'll be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilman McKittrick.
Thank you, Madam President, and all the councilmen and women. It's good to see you all. Let's bow our heads in a word of prayer. Lord God, we thank you so much for this evening and another council meeting. We thank you for the hard work that these men and women have dedicated to our city. Father, I pray in the name of Jesus that you would pour back into them strength, wisdom, courage, boldness, and just a steadfastness and resiliency, oh God. Father, I pray for every ward that you will go up and down the streets and provide safety, clarity, and unity. Father, we end this prayer in the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who is in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we also have forgiven our debtors. And do not lead us into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For yours is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much, Minister Saunders, again for leading us in prayer this evening.
Amen.
The minutes from our previously held meeting have been provided. Are there any additions or corrections? Councilman Fusco?
Motion to approve.
We do have a motion on the floor. Can we get a second by Councilwoman Connor?
Second.
Roll call.
Baylor.
Aye.
Connor.
Aye.
Freeman.
Aye.
Fusco.
Aye.
Kamer.
Aye.
Lombardo.
Aye.
McKittrick.
Aye.
Malik.
Aye.
Neal.
Aye.
Amobian.
Aye.
Samples.
Aye.
Somerville.
Aye.
The minutes pass 12-0.
We do not have any items on the consent agenda, so we will move towards our public hearing for this evening. Clerk will read in item number 1.
Notice is hereby given that the following public hearing will be held by the Council of the City of Akron on Monday, February 22nd, 2021, during the council meeting at 7 p.m. Ordinance authorizing a conditional use to retain a fence within the front yard setback area at 656 Oxford Avenue.
Mr. Antonucci?
Yes, thank you, Madam President, members of council. Eddie Smith and Kiara Roberson are requesting permission to retain a solid fence that is over 30 inches in height and within the 20-foot front yard setback. The zoning code states a fence which is 85% or more open shall be permitted to a height no greater than 2 feet 6 inches above the curb, closer than 20 feet to the street. The purpose of this section is to permit vehicles and pedestrians to be visible to persons entering or leaving any lot. Inspections in late December revealed this mostly solid fence ranges in height from 53 inches or 4 feet 5 inches to 6 feet 3 inches within the front yard area. This very dense North Hill neighborhood is characterized by a mix of 1- and 2-story homes on 40-foot wide lots. This overheight solid fence within the front yard directly impacts the visibility and safe movement of traffic for the two abutting properties. And is intrusive to neighboring properties. Petitioner has stated that the solid fence was constructed to provide an enclosed space for small children and their dog. However, no hardship exists for the petitioner because the same objective can be achieved by legally enclosing the front yard with a chain link fence or a fence that's 85% open at least. The Traffic Engineering and Public Works divisions concur with the planning staff that the property should fully comply with development requirements of the zoning code. Planning staff and planning commission both recommend disapproval. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Antonucci. We do not have anyone who has registered to speak in favor of 656 Oxford. We do have someone who is registered to speak against. Is Jeanette online with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, Jeanette, just going to ask before you bring forth your comments this evening, if you could be sworn in by a member of our law department.
Okay.
If you could please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth? If so, please say I do.
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Jeanette, you can proceed.
I just want to state that the fence makes it very difficult for me to see visibly when I'm backing out of my driveway. I'm on a hill and the fence is on the upside of the hill, so it's even, makes it even higher. So that's why I'm against having the fence there.
Okay, thank you so much. Councilman Fusco?
Yes, thank you. I'd like to pull the committee and refer this item for 1 week. Kamer?
Aye.
Baylor?
Aye.
Samples?
Aye.
The report of the committee is for 1 week's time. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This item will be referred. Item number 2, public hearing has been rescheduled for March 29th. Councilman Fusco, what is your pleasure on the rest of the agenda?
Yes, thank you, President Somerville. On item number 3, the request of committees for suspension of the rules with a favorable report.
Any objections on suspension of the rules? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
Yes, thank you. This came in 2 weeks ago. I wanted to give folks time to look over the redevelopment plan for the Chapel Hill Mall area. We have not received many inquiries, questions, what have you. I believe they've all been answered, those that have been levied. So we are requesting suspension of the rules with a favorable report.
Thank you so much. The rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. Roll call.
Baylor?
Aye.
Connor?
Aye.
Freeman?
Aye.
Fusco?
Dane?
Kamer?
Aye.
Lombardo?
Aye.
McKittrick?
Aye.
Malik?
Aye.
Neal?
Aye.
Amobian?
Aye.
Samples?
Aye.
Somerville?
Abstain. For the record, myself and my husband do have a storage unit inside of Chapel Hill Mall.
Okay, the
This
request.
ordinance passes 10-0 with 2.
Thank you so much. Councilman Fusco?
Thank you. The report of the committee on item number 4 is favorable, and we're asking for suspension of the rules on this one as well.
Any objections on suspension of the rules? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
Yes, thank you. This is again that the huge parcel that's known, I believe it's 70 acres altogether. It's known as the Chapel Hill Mall area. This is providing for 72 acres. This is providing for even more flexibility in terms of the underlying zoning with regards to the Chapel Hill Mall parcels. So with that, the committee recommends approval with suspension of the rules. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The rules have been suspended and the committee's report is favorable. Roll call.
Baylor?
Aye.
Connor?
Aye.
Aye.
Fusco,
Abstain.
Kamer,
Aye.
Lombardo,
Aye.
McKittrick,
Aye.
Malik,
Aye.
Neal,
Aye.
Amobian,
Aye.
Samples,
Aye.
Somerville.
Abstain.
Okay, this ordinance passes 10-0 with 2 abstentions.
Councilman Fusco?
Yes, thank you. The request of the committee is for time on 6, 7, and 8. The request of committee is to file item number 9.
Councilman Fusco, did you want to go back to item number 5?
Oh, I'm sorry, silly me. I was jumping ahead. Item number 5, the request of the committee is for suspension of the rules with a favorable report on this item as well.
Any objections on suspension of the rules? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
Thank you. Yes, this is the 1990 Buckholzer Boulevard. This too is a storage facility. This is a reuse, a conditional use request. The petitioner has agreed to conform with all the conditions that were set within this ordinance. And so we're recommending approval this evening.
Thank you. The rules have been suspended and the committee's report is favorable. Roll call.
Baylor,
Aye.
Connor,
Aye.
Freeman,
Aye.
Fusco,
Aye.
Kamer,
Aye.
Lombardo,
Aye.
McKittrick,
Aye.
Malik,
Aye.
Neal,
Aye.
Amobian,
Aye.
Samples,
Aye.
Somerville.
Aye.
This ordinance passes 12-0.
Councilman Fusco?
Thank you. The request of the committee is for time on 6, 7, and 8. And then to file item number 9. That's the petition for the conditional use we just voted on. And then time on the balance of the agenda.
Okay, time will be granted. Public Utilities and Green Committee, Councilman Freeman?
Yes, we have, we've read this item in, I believe, mandatory 3 times, and we are seeking approval.
Thank you. Any objections on suspension of the rules? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended. I don't know, Councilman Freeman, do you have any further remarks as it relates to this piece?
No, actually, we do not need to suspend rules on this. It's been read in 3 times.
Perfect.
And this is just, during the recent Waterways Renewed program, we've lost a lot of trees. This is going to enable us to plant 2 trees for everyone that we lost as we increase the city's canopy. With that, we ask for its passage.
Thank you so much, Councilman Freeman. The committee's report is favorable. Roll call.
Baylor,
Did you
Baylor?
call me? Oh, aye.
Thank
Sorry.
you. No problem. Connor,
Aye.
Freeman,
Aye.
Fusco,
Aye.
Kamer, Lombardo,
Aye.
McKittrick,
Aye.
Malik,
Aye.
Neal,
Aye.
Amobian,
Aye.
Samples,
Aye.
Somerville.
Aye.
This ordinance passes 12-0.
We'll now move into our new legislation. Rules.
Item number 1, offered by Mayor Horrigan. Resolution approving and confirming the appointment by Mayor Horrigan of Dr. Sheldon B. Rice as a member of the Akron Civil Rights Commission and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Freeman,
Committee's report is favorable, and we're asking for suspension of the rules.
any objections on suspension of the rules? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
We did have Dr. Rice with us this afternoon. I'm not aware. Sarah, is he with us this evening?
No, he's not.
Okay. We had Dr. Rice with us, going to be a wonderful addition to the Akron Civil Rights Commission, and the board would like to pass this as an emergency. Not sure if anybody else has anything they'd like to add. We'd certainly welcome any comments.
Thank you so much, Councilman Freeman. The rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. Roll call.
Baylor,
Aye.
Connor,
Aye.
Freeman,
Aye.
Fusco,
Aye.
Kamer,
Aye.
Lombardo,
Aye.
McKittrick,
Aye.
Malik,
Aye.
Neal,
Aye.
Amobian,
Aye.
Samples,
Aye.
Somerville.
Aye.
This resolution passes 12-0. Item number 1A, offered by Mayor Horrigan and Fusco, resolution congratulating John Valley on the occasion of his retirement, thanking him for his dedicated service to the city of Akron and wishing him well in all of his future endeavors and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Freeman.
Committee's report is favorable, and we are sadly asking for suspension of the rules.
Any objections on suspension of the rules this evening? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
Well, we've come to, I think every councilman here would say we've come to the end of an era. And I've admired John for years, what he's done for the city. I can remember when I was in kindergarten and he was first elected to city council. But each and every one of us, and it was so well said by many council members today, John has been an absolute go-to person, and every councilwoman will agree that this is the fellow you went to when you were up against the wall. This is the fellow you went to when you really needed to get something done. This is the fellow you went to when you were, biting your nails saying, John, I don't have a fix for this one. And John, I'll just say to you before I open it up to other folks, I cannot express enough just how much I appreciate you. I appreciate, number one, the man that you are, and then the job that you did. I don't think you're going to know what to do with yourself, though, because you have been so busy for so many years. But thank you so much, John, for everything you've done, and like to open it up to any other comments.
Thanks, Mike.
From other committee members.
You want to start with Mayor Horgan?
Yeah, John, remember something, that the committee's report was favorable. I just want you to remember that the committee's report was favorable. I said this afternoon, knowing John as long as I have. And I remember you in first grade, Mike, because John was in about 8th grade when I was in first grade, and he was working at Acme. So this is the epitome of what customer service and public service should look like, is John's career. He has a lot to be proud of, a wonderful family. And Mike said it best. He's as good or better of a man than a public servant, and that's pretty high bar. So he's done a lot for me, I know, on a personal and professional level. I've always appreciated that. I wish you nothing but the best of luck in your continued endeavors. I know I'll run into you and still be around, and so in the golf game maybe get a little bit better. So I'm gonna have to watch out for that. Thanks, John, for everything, and I know I speak for a lot of different people who say thank you.
Thanks, Mayor.
Are there any other council members? Councilman Fusco?
Yes, thank you, President Somerville. Yeah, I came into city council. I was 12 years old, and John had been there already. This was in 1986, believe it or not. And we quickly became friends, and we've been real good friends. Both of our families are friends, and for many, many years. And John has that loyalty, the work ethic, that we all know and we all love. And I got a quick story. This one was a while back, and this was years ago. But John and I, we went to war against one another. Most times we were with one another, but on this particular issue here, we went against each other. It was, I believe, it's the mobile digital signs or something for businesses, and we went after each other hard. And then, of course, afterwards. Full disclosure, we went to Gus's and broke bread, if you will, and everything was fine. And there's something to be said for that. And I believe that's because we respected one another. And I remember John's wife Janae said to him, and he later told me, "It's like, are you and Jeff okay? You guys really went after one another. Are you okay?" And of course we were. And so, like I said, and that was kind of a lesson I've always learned and try to adhere to. The one thing we've all benefited, obviously, John, in City Hall, and the residents of Akron too, from your customer service and your community service. Thank you for everything you've done for all of us. Thank you, John.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you. Councilman Kamer?
Thank you, President Somerville. John, congratulations. I know the first time I met you was back in 2011, right before I was sworn in. I reached out to you to come into your office. Obviously, you were in the service director's office, and I just want to thank you for how you welcomed the conversation and led me in the right direction. And then obviously moving on, how we work together. I think we worked on a couple pieces of legislation, and you were always professional with me and my residents, and I'll never forget that. And I just want to say thank you for your hard work, your dedication to the city and the residents, and your friendship. So thank you.
Thank you, Donnie.
Councilman Lombardo.
Thank you, Madam President. Again, John, I just want to thank you for everything that you've done for me. Obviously for everybody in the city, all 10 wards. And I hope I can serve you as your councilman in Ward 2, just as well as you served everybody with the professionalism and speedy service. Thank you, John. Good
Thanks,
luck.
Bill.
Councilwoman Samples, and then we'll go with Councilwoman Connor.
Thank you, Council President. Like I said earlier, John, you will be missed, but I'm sure I will be seeing you around, especially as we work on playgrounds across the city, because without you there, I don't think anyone will be organized. A really quick story that really showed me that John Valley is totally different from anyone that I've worked with at City Hall. No offense to anyone else. We had this joint meeting in North Hill at Finley Elementary School. We had this bright idea we were going to have a joint meeting between Ward 5 and I believe Ward 2. Was that Kilby then? And it got very contentious. It was a bad meeting, and there was anger and frustration. And John actually had a meeting in Ward 6, but he could tell that I was just very anxious about it. Was just a bad meeting. He ended up staying there with me. And I will always remember that, because we could not get people to see eye to eye. He was frustrated. I was frustrated. Curly Brown was there with us. He was so frustrated, he left. But John stayed there with me, and I appreciate that. I tell everybody about that story at North Hill, because I mean, he could have easily left me there in the lion's den, and he stayed there with me. And that, to me, showed me the kind of character of the person John was. And I am going to miss you, but again, I'm sure I will be seeing you.
Thanks, Tara.
John, I just want to wish you well. I will certainly miss you, although I've only known you for a year or so as a council person. I feel like I've known you such a long time with every project that's gone on in Ward 10, because you're always the first call for what am I supposed to do and how am I supposed to do this? And then when things don't work out, you're the call that says, I don't know what to do. And you sweep in and you fix it and you make it right. And you always do your best to make all of us shine. You will be greatly missed. I wish you well. Enjoy those grandchildren and hope to see you soon in Ward 10.
Thanks, Sharon.
Councilwoman Amobian.
John, I wish you well in your retirement. You are more than deserving. Two things that hopefully you will take with you and remember, and I'm sure there are many, many more, is that you have allowed us and helped us get rid of a lot of these abandoned old buildings. And the registry is going to be a fantastic way to get rid of some of these buildings that people have just left abandoned. And the properties that we have had that have been vacant, where the grass has grown up, and you have come up with a plan for us to sell those and to get people to mow them. And so I think those two things will forever be remembered as something that you played a major part in. And thank you so very much. Wish you well. I'm not sure what you plan to do, and if you plan to go to an island somewhere for your first journey, I would say I go for it.
Councilman Neal.
Madam President, Ms. Baylor was, Councilwoman Baylor was before me.
Okay, Councilwoman Baylor.
Thank you, Russ. How kind. Well, John, I just want to say I
I found you to be a very balanced and poised professional, very serious about your work, your job when you were out in the community, and very personable to community members. And I mean, you've always been able to help give guidance in any question that I've asked you. Not that there's been that many, but you were always able to do that. But I just thank you for your service and just what you have given to the city of Akron and its constituents. And I say again, enjoy your retirement, even though I know it's not going to be a retirement. A lot of people are still going to call on you, but I know you'll be there. So congratulations and happy retirement again.
Thank you, Ginger.
You're welcome.
Councilman Neal?
Thank you, Madam President. Yeah, I just wanted to say something again. I know I got a chance to speak this afternoon. On behalf of my residents, I want to say thanks to Mr. Valley as well. He was always made himself available whenever they had something they wanted to do. Also want to say thanks on behalf of nonprofit grassroots organizations. Mr. Valley helped us get the first grass cutting contract for grassroots communities together. Mr. Cornelius Benson, God bless his soul, he's going on, but Mr. Valley helped us get that contract. But now that I heard Councilwoman Sample say something, I know you're a perfectionist, you don't like to leave any stone, you don't like to leave stuff half done. You can't leave until you help me get this barking dog legislation passed. So you guys stick around just a little bit longer till we get that one done, sir.
Good luck with that one.
I want to make sure that I have not missed anyone. Councilman Malik?
Yeah, I said this afternoon, I feel like I benefited so much personally from you, Mr. Valley. I know the residents of the 8th Ward have, and folks have all over the city. I just, my memories will be of someone who was always, the first one in the door, the last one out the door, was always answering the phone, was always there, answering a question. And I know none of us are going to let you go. So I know that we'll all be continuing to call on you and seek some advice. And we're all lucky for that. So thank you again.
Thanks, Shamus.
Well, John, I think it has all been said. I mean, we are truly going to miss you. And again, we want to thank you for your years of service and dedication to the city. I too want to just thank you on behalf of my residents. You have truly been a champion for creating safer neighborhoods by helping me to create many block watch groups in my ward and throughout the city. And so we want to thank you for your dedication and all that you do. You have truly made all of us as council members better council members, and helped us all to look really good at what we do. And it's because of you who oftentimes are in the background, not in the forefront, but really doing the work. And we appreciate you. So at this time, we want to see if you'll bring forth some comments for us this evening.
Well, first of all, did you guys vote on this yet? Just kidding. Now, I want to thank Mayor Horrigan, Jeff Fusco, Council President Somerville, and Akron City Council for this resolution tonight and all the very nice comments from Mayor and Council. I've been blessed. I've been very fortunate to have a great career, both in the private and the public sector. My early days with the Acme stores helped prepare me for my career with the city of Akron. They were both kind of pretty similar. I mean, you took care of people, you addressed their needs. When I came in the city council in 1984, I came in along with the newly elected mayor, Tom Sawyer. I served with 5 mayors in my time, some not quite as long as others. But I was really fortunate in my early days to serve with guys like Vince Sirocco and Pat DeAndre and Council President Don Pasquale. And Ray Capra had just left President Council to become the service director. I could call Ray at 6 o'clock in the morning and ask him, hey, how do you get something like this problem fixed? But all those individuals were very instrumental in providing me with great leadership and knowledge of the city of Akron. But more importantly, how to get things done. And they really instilled into me that you need to return phone calls if you want to be successful. Now, we're talking about back in the day, that was the only way you communicated with your residents, is either you called them back or you went and knocked on your door. You didn't have email, you didn't have the social media, you didn't have the Twitter. And as Archie Bunker would say, those were the days. And I'm willing to bet that Shamus, you weren't born yet in 1984. But a few years later, I think it was 1986, we had a couple rookie council members come in, one by the name of Jeff Fusco in Ward 10 and one by the name of Marco Somerville in Ward 3. So now I had the opportunity to help them and groom them and show them the ropes. But I want to thank former Mayor Pasquale for giving me the opportunity to serve in his administration and with the creation of the Department of Neighborhood Assistance. I mean, I think everybody knows that's not glorious stuff, but we had a very, very dedicated, we have a very, very dedicated staff in neighborhood assistance, because it's not fun stuff and it wears on you, dealing with junk cars and high grass and weeds and bad houses and buildings. But let's go back to 1984 and then let's move ahead 15 years. Later, we had another new council member and a good friend of mine by the name of Dan Horrigan, who was elected to serve in Ward 1. It was an honor to serve with Dan during my last few years on city council and a few years as a clerk of council and the past 5 years as a member of his administration. We've had great administrations, great cabinets. I was so fortunate to serve with so many talented people under both Mayors Pasquale and Mayor Horrigan. But I've had a lot of success and a great career at the city of Akron. I could not be successful without the city of Akron employees. We have some of the most dedicated people that I've ever been associated with working for the city. I've enjoyed the last year working with Chris Ludell and Euphrancia Lash by moving back up into the service director's office. And I want to assure everybody on city council and the mayor's office that you're going to be in good hands with Euphrancia Lash taking over for me. And to all the residents of our great city, it was an honor and privilege to serve with you all these years. We were able to do a lot of good things. I know in the resolution, we talked about building kaboom parks and starting block watches, but we had the opportunity to get the community engaged, whether it was through a faith-based organization, a youth sports group, or a nonprofit, but we worked together, we rolled up our sleeves, and I think we were successful making our neighborhoods better and safer. So again, thank you, Mayor Horrigan, City Council, for this wonderful resolution. And I'm not going anywhere. So I'll be around, you'll still see me. I might even listen to council on Monday afternoons on YouTube if I don't have nothing else to do.
Thank you so much. A round of applause. I see Russ doing that, and that is well deserved. Thank you so much, John. We're going to miss you.
Yeah.
Again, the rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. Roll call.
During committee, it was suggested that somebody might want to make a motion for council as a whole. Did someone want to do that this evening?
So we got a motion for mayor and council as a whole. Can we get a second? Councilwoman Baylor? You're on mute.
Second.
Roll call.
Baylor,
Aye.
Connor,
Aye.
Freeman,
Aye.
Fusco,
Aye.
Kamer,
Aye.
Lombardo,
Aye.
McKittrick,
Aye.
Malik,
Aye.
Neal,
Aye.
Amobian,
Aye.
Samples,
Aye.
Somerville.
Aye.
This resolution passes 12-0. Item number 2, offered by Fusco, ordinance authorizing a conditional use to establish a two-family residence use at 119 South Maple Street.
Councilman Fusco?
Refer and advertise for public hearing.
This item will be referred.
Item number 3, offered by Fusco, ordinance authorizing a conditional use to establish a type A daycare at 1247 Florida Avenue and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Fusco?
Refer and advertise for public hearing on March 8th.
This item will be referred.
Item number 4, offered by Fusco, ordinance approving the historic designation of 44 East Exchange Street, the former Akron Beacon Journal, as a historic landmark and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Fusco.
Consent agenda?
This item will be placed on the consent agenda.
Item number 5, offered by Fusco, ordinance authorizing the execution of a development agreement with Industrial Commercial Properties LLC or its designees, providing for the acquisition, sale, and redevelopment of property located at 2000 Britton Road, finding such property is not needed for any public use and related findings, and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Fusco.
Refer, although I'd like to ask 1 week's time, and please ask everyone to read over their legislation and bring forward questions this week if you can. We'd like to report this out next week. Thank you.
Thank you. This item will be referred.
Item number 6, offered by Fusco, ordinance authorizing the Director of the Department of Planning and Urban Development to enter into contracts for transportation planning services in order to carry out the intent and purpose of programs under the Federal Consolidated Planning Grant for the fiscal year 2021, and in order to further the Akron metropolitan area transportation studies goals and objectives of maintaining a cooperative, continuous, and comprehensive framework for making transportation investment decisions in the Akron metropolitan area and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Fusco.
Consent agenda?
This item will be placed on the consent agenda.
Item number 7, offered by Samples, ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Service, after publicly advertising for bids, to enter into a contract or contracts for the replacement of lighting and signage on certain connector taxiways at the Akron Fulton International Airport and declaring an emergency.
Councilwoman Samples.
Thank you, Madam President. The committee is requesting consent agenda.
This item will be placed on the consent agenda.
Item number 8, offered by Samples, ordinance amending and or supplementing Title 7 Traffic Code, Chapter 70 General Provisions, Section 70.40 Traffic Journal Publication of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Akron in order to conform the methods of publication with the Charter and declaring an emergency.
Councilwoman Samples.
Consent agenda, please.
This item will be placed on the consent agenda.
Item number 9, offered by Mayor Horrigan, resolution approving and confirming the appointment of Rupa Gurung to the Metro Regional Transit Authority Board of Trustees and declaring an emergency.
Councilwoman Samples.
Thank you, Madam President. Consent agenda, please.
This item will also be placed on the consent agenda.
Item number 10, offered by Kamer, ordinance authorizing the purchasing agent to enter into a contract or contracts without the formality of publicly advertising for bids with Pierce Manufacturing Incorporated for the purchase of 1 Pierce fire pumper truck, 1 Pierce fire pumper truck with foam capabilities, and 1 Pierce 75-foot aerial ladder truck, and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Kamer.
Thank you, Madam President. The committee's report is favorable, and we're asking for suspension of the rules.
Any objections on suspension of the rules? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
Thank you. Basically moving forward with hopefully purchasing new fire equipment, fire trucks for our Akron Fire Department.
Thank you. The rules have been suspended and the committee's report is favorable. Roll call.
Baylor.
Aye.
Connor.
Aye.
Freeman.
Aye.
Fusco.
Aye.
Kamer.
Aye.
Lombardo.
Aye.
McKittrick.
Aye.
Malik.
Aye.
Neal.
Aye.
Amobian.
Aye.
Samples.
Aye.
Somerville.
Aye.
This ordinance passes 12-0. Item number 10A, offered by Councilwoman Mosley Samples, ordinance amending, supplementing Title 7 Traffic Code, Chapter 70 General Provisions, Article 4 Impounding, Section 70.52 Motor Vehicle Pounds, in order to add 2 towing companies to the city's towing districts and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Kamer.
Thank you, Madam President. Committee's report is time.
Time will be granted.
Item number 11, offered by Mayor Horrigan, President Somerville, Councilman Fusco, Councilman Kamer, and Councilman McKittrick. Resolution urging Governor DeWine and the Ohio Department of Public Health to include law enforcement officers in Tier 1B regarding the distribution of the COVID-19 vaccine and to increase the amount of vaccine sent to Summit County to accomplish this request and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Kamer.
Thank you, Madam President. Committee's report is favorable, and we're asking for suspension of the rules.
Any objections on suspension of the rules? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
Thank you, Madam President. Obviously, there's several co-sponsors on this resolution. Basically speaks for itself, and it's long overdue. This is something that our law enforcement officers in the state of Ohio should have been getting the vaccine from the get-go. So with that, that's all the comments I have. Not sure if anybody else has comments, and hopefully move forward with mayor and council as a whole. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Councilman Kamer. Are there any additional comments at this time? Councilman Mallett.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a motion for mayor and council as a whole.
Thank you so much. So we have a motion on the floor for mayor and council as a whole. Councilman Lombardo, would you second that motion for us?
I second that.
Roll call.
Baylor,
Aye.
Connor,
Aye.
Freeman,
Aye.
Fusco,
Aye.
Kamer,
Aye.
Lombardo,
Aye.
McKittrick,
Aye.
Malik,
Aye.
Neal,
Aye.
Amobian,
Aye.
Samples,
Aye.
Somerville.
Aye.
This resolution passes 12-0. Item number 12, offered by Mayor Horrigan and Councilman Fusco. Resolution urging President Biden and the United States Congress to provide additional assistance to the rental housing community and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Fusco.
Thank you, President Somerville. The request of committees for suspension of the rules with a favorable report.
Any objections on suspension of the rules? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
Yes, thank you. Obviously, it's top of mind that COVID-19 has had an adverse effect in every walk of life. And in terms of this particular piece here, currently in Congress, the Senate, the federal government's considering, next steps with regards to COVID relief. And we're asking that, due to COVID, many out in the United States, Akron is not alone. Obviously, due to COVID, they've missed work, and therefore rental payments are not being able to be made. Obviously, that knife cuts both ways because the majority of the housing units out there are in fact owned by small investors and mid-size companies, small companies. So they're impacted as well. So we're hoping that this can be passed this evening. Obviously, entertain a motion for everyone's sponsorship, and hopefully the federal government will go forward and provide something meaningful to the communities.
Thank you, Councilman Fusco. Do we have a motion?
So move.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Baylor,
Aye.
Connor,
Aye.
Freeman,
Aye.
Fusco,
Aye.
Kamer,
Aye.
Lombardo,
Aye.
McKittrick,
Aye.
Malik,
Aye. Sorry.
Neal,
Aye.
Amobian,
Aye.
Samples,
Aye.
Somerville.
Aye.
This resolution passes 12-0. Item number 13, offered by Mayor Horrigan and Councilwoman Samples. Resolution raising awareness about the alarming increase of suicide in the African American community, urging the County of Summit Alcohol, Drug Addiction, and Mental Health ADM Board to adopt and implement strategies to reduce suicides in the African American community, encouraging the State of Ohio's Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services to do the same, and declaring an emergency.
Councilwoman Amobian.
Committees is requesting approval with suspension of the rules, but we also have some people from the ADM Board who would like to speak at this time. And then I would like to defer to Councilwoman Samples to give remarks.
Okay, thank you so much, Councilwoman Amobian.
I think we have Interim Executive Director Amy Wade and the Chief Clinical Officer, Dr. Douglas Smith, from the Alcohol, Drug Addiction and Health Services Board. Are you guys there?
Yes, we are. Thank you. Unfortunately, my video will not come up this evening, but thank you for having me today, and thank you allowing for us to speak with you on this very important topic. I can assure you that the ADM board is monitoring suicide-based data based on race, gender, age, location, and a host of other data points in real time through the medical examiner's office. This allows us to quickly adjust our strategies to respond to areas of concern as they present themselves in Summit County. And the Summit County Suicide Prevention Coalition is on the forefront of these efforts. As Councilwoman Amobian mentioned, I have with me today our Chief Clinical Officer, Dr. Doug Smith, who's going to talk a little bit about our Summit County specific data and more of our local efforts.
Good evening. Thanks for letting me speak for a few moments here. So we have good news, and we still have a topic to put more energy into, as Linda and Tara Samples have both brought up. Both councilwomen are accurate that we do have an increase in death by suicide for African-American adult males. And I want to give you a little bit of quick background, and then I'll tell you what we've been doing already. And then obviously we're thrilled to have you in our court working on this, because it's a very important topic. So we're fortunate that the national data and even the Ohio State data don't reflect what's going on in Summit County. We have not been seeing the increases that they're seeing in lots of other locations. And part of that may be due to our countywide suicide prevention coalition, which I'll come back to. But from 2014 through 2019, if you look at that, we did have some up and down in the data. I'll give you the exact numbers of real people. I like to talk about people as opposed to just numbers. But we have actually had a downward trend in death by suicide for African-American males in 2017, 18, 19. But 2020, we did in fact have a unfortunately large increase there. So just to get, the other thing I should tell you is that national data for suicide and therefore local data, they use youth goes up to all teenagers. So it actually goes up through age 19, unusual for data, but that's true for all suicide data. And then therefore adults start at age 20. So just to be clear on that. So starting with age 20 and older, African-American males, 2014, we had 2 die by suicide, 2015, 4 people, 2016, 1, 2017, 5, 2018, 5, 2019, 2, bouncing around, even one's too many, but in terms of the scheme of things, we've done well compared to many of the national and Ohio averages. But in 2020, we had 11 die by suicide. So there is reason for concern. Our coalition looks at data every quarter. Actually, we've actually had meetings more frequently than that, but at least every quarter we've looked at the data. So we saw this trend happening as it occurred in 2020. We work directly with Dr. Kohler and the medical examiner's office on this in the county. We get that data often in about as real time as anybody could get it. And so we're already acting on it. We have a subcommittee working on that. We have a lot of work actually with the change direction and the faith-based community, which therefore targets a lot of the African-American churches. Mental health first aid, for example, Kemp Boyd, pastor at Love Akron. He has been pushing this option with mental health first aid. We do a lot of question, persuade, refer, QPR, also trying to get this message out. And we have, because of the data, been more specifically targeting the African-American community since the later part of 2020. So we're still in that mode because we'd like to beat this back. Let me just mention, let me talk about the youth real quickly, because that actually is a success story at this point in Summit County. So we have actually been trending down in youth death. That again, youth is not 19 and under. So remember, some of these are going to be adults, but not by this suicide definition. So we had 5 deaths by suicide in African-American youth in 2017, obviously 5 way too many. In 18, it was 3, and in 19, it was 2, and last year it was 1. So we've actually continuously trended down on death in African-American males who are officially youth. They're teenagers or younger. And in terms of the youngest group, the age 5 to 12 that get tracked, since 2014, we have had 0 deaths by suicide in that population, African American, every single year, including 2020. So there's some really positive data, because 0 is the only respectable number here, the only one any of us can accept. But we do have this spike now in 2020 that we do need to all be addressing. I'll just tell you real quickly, since Linda Mobian mentioned zero suicide, I'll talk about a couple of real quick things. So we have a very robust youth subcommittee as well that's through Akron Children's. They got a grant, but we're very much as a coalition part of that. And so they've been working mightily on all populations of youth, which may actually be reflected in some of this data, because they've been at it for a couple of years now. That may be reflected in the 0 deaths by suicide in African American youth. The Zero Suicide Initiative, it's actually called Zero Suicide in Healthcare. And the concept is very prevention based. It is that everybody gets screened for depression and suicidality every time they go into any healthcare provider. If you're going in for your acne treatment at the dermatologist, or you're going in for surgery, something more severe, we want everybody screened. And as Councilwoman Amobian said, we have pushed this out starting, probably 6 or 7 years ago now, to all of the agencies in Summit County. Both hospitals actually joined us as well, Akron General, now Cleveland Clinic, Akron General, and SUMA. And so we've had a good response there. We actually have not re-reviewed it. We probably need to re-review this. But I'll give you one example. One of the things that we learned from the national data is that caring contact, that is reaching out to somebody who we know has thought about suicide because they've called they've called the phone line, they've used the crisis text line, they were hospitalized for suicidality and they were just discharged, any of these transitions of care. If we reach out to them 2 or 3 days later, and that's by snail mail, email, text, or phone call, all of those work, we can actually decrease the attempt rate or the reattempt rate by 50%. It's almost free. So some of our agencies have adopted really nice plans where they create artwork from the patients themselves, and the art patients choose the best artwork based on their measurements, and they send out a card that the staff will write a note. Hi, Mr. Jones, you called us 2 days ago. We're just checking to see how you're doing. That saves lives. And so we obviously would like to do more of that. And now, based on this in the African American community, we need to make sure that we're using that initiative. It's one of the highest evidence-based and, amazingly enough, one of the cheapest things you can do to save lives. The other one I'll just real quickly mention is our pediatricians. Several years ago, probably 6 years ago, the United States Preventive Services Task Force said to all pediatricians, please start screening for depression at age 11 and up. And they do something called the Patient Health Questionnaire, usually 9 questions. Sometimes it's 2 questions, but it's quick either way. And that has happened. I've seen that in our pediatrics offices around the county. And so what that means now is that if I take in a child, they're going to screen, starting at age 11, they're going to screen that. And not only will they catch this early to prevent the seriously sad loss of life at a young age, those children will grow up without the stigma. And in fact, when they are parents, they're going to be wondering why I, as the doctor, am not asking about their child's mental health, right? So that was not going on when I was growing up. Nobody asked me about my mental health when I was going to the pediatrician. I can assure you, and I'm sure none of you had that either. So this is going to flip the script and help us with prevention efforts. The Zero Suicide Initiative helps us getting at this at prevention and even secondary prevention. And then mental health first aid, again, which is now very tied to Change Direction and the faith-based community, Question, Persuade, Refer, all working mightily, but bringing us full circle. Some of that needs to be more focused now on the adult 20 and older African-American males, because in fact, 2020 was not a good year, was the worst year we've had in a lot of years. It's the worst year we've had. So we don't yet have data for 2021. It often lags by several months through the medical examiner's office because they don't want to call a death by suicide unless they're certain because of all the stigma around that. So as we get more data for 2021, hopefully we'll find that it's already trending down because we've already been putting some energy into this, more than we had. Anyway, I don't want to take up all your time. I'll stop and see if Amy has more to add or if you have questions for me.
Well, thank you, Dr. Smith. I don't know, Amy, did you want to say anything else?
No, I think Dr. Smith captured everything. Thank you.
Thank you. You're on screen now. I hope you know your video is working. But thank you very much. And Dr. Smith, thank you. And I do know the agencies are working on the zero suicide because there's no sense in coming up with a number because the goal is to have no suicides at all. Councilwoman Samples, would you like to make a statement, please?
Just briefly to thank Dr. Smith and Amy Wade for doing that snapshot presentation to us about what's going on in the African American community. I look forward to speaking with you both further on this issue. It's very near and dear to me. And it's like Councilwoman Amobian said, to work on making those numbers zero, especially coming into the African American community and spreading education and awareness to them and them not feeling like it's a stigma. So I look forward to doing that with you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Madam President, and again, thank you, Dr. Smith and Mrs. Wade. Madam President, the committee's recommendations, we recommend approval with suspension of the rules.
Thank you so much. If there are no objections, the rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. Roll call.
Baylor.
Aye.
Connor.
Aye.
Freeman.
Aye.
Fusco.
Aye.
Kamer.
Aye.
Lombardo.
Aye.
McKittrick.
Aye.
Malik.
Aye.
Neal.
Aye.
Amobian.
Aye.
Samples.
Aye.
Somerville.
Aye.
This resolution passes 12-0.
We'll now move to the portion of our meeting that we refer to as our public comment period. Clerk will play comments received for this evening.
Good morning. My name is Renee DeFoe. I'm wondering about the new buildings that we have all over Akron for our Akron Public Schools and the air quality design that was built into those buildings. When we talk about the teachers and the students going back by March 1st, it occurred to me that I had never asked even myself the question if the air quality in those buildings are different, very different from the older buildings. I know the older buildings didn't have air conditioning, which was a problem on very hot days when school first started. I'd like someone to address for the public what the system in the new buildings is like, whether there's some kind of HEPA filter system that guarantees the air in the building. Those kind of questions, I think, would help the public be more at ease before we send children back to school. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.
Hi, this is Barb Green. I live at 532 Parkside Drive in Ward 8, Akron. After watching a recent City Council meeting, I would like to suggest that the Council consider using a prayer that is non-denominational or Unitarian or respectful of all faiths. I certainly support the opportunity to have a prayer before the meeting. I think we probably need one. Just want to be respectful, again, of not only those that are on the Council that may not be Christian, as well as constituents and citizens, residents of the city of Akron. Thank you very much for your consideration. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Good morning. My name is Patrick Hoot. I live at 962 West Market Street, Akron, Ohio. I've lived here 10 years. My wife has lived here 20 years in Akron. We enjoy the city. Recently, in a visit to our dry cleaner on Portage Bat, I noticed that the door was had plywood over it. So my wife went in. I made a comment that they were probably broken in. My wife went into the cleaners, came back out and confirmed my suspicion. They had been broken into. They broke in the front door. They'd taken the cash register, $50 in it. They were, the lady caught them or videotaped them on camera. It was given to the police. Police caught them and given the ticket. Now, this is a story if this is incorrect, I would love to know that. I have no problem being wrong. Here is my issue. We now have somebody who is committing criminals that are committing felony acts. I think breaking and entering is a felony. And they are getting a ticket. I want to know who made this decision and the basis for the decision. Thank you.
My name is Colin Robertson, and I have noticed that the city of Akron has had a continuous major issue with houselessness and eviction far before the beginning of this pandemic. Last year, Akron had the highest eviction rate in Ohio, 24th in the nation, and a large population of houseless people. And over the course of this pandemic, many more people have become houseless, which brings me to ask why on February 17th, the city decided to evict the houseless encampment by Grace Park, giving them 20 minutes to get their stuff out, and then bringing in a backhoe to pick up and bury the rest. Why would you do this during one of the coldest weeks of this winter? What are these people supposed to do? Where are they supposed to go? Why are you treating them like trash? Do you, as city council people, care about the people that live in this city? Do you care about human life? Because that action shows a complete disregard for people's well-being. Why don't you guys take a second to actually have a little bit of empathy and a little bit of feeling for the suffering that these people go through? They don't want to be houseless. They're stuck there. They're trapped in a system in which they cannot make enough money to get a place to live. And with nothing that they have, you decide to take the rest of it away. Thank you.
Pastor Gregory Harrison, Antioch Church, Akron. I was watching the city council committee meetings this afternoon, and it was quite disturbing. Some stuff was said that I would like to weigh in on and give a comment to. I would like to weigh in on the good old white boy system that had been mentioned on council today. It seemed that some were offended by that term, and I would hope that they would also be offended by the use of this system, not simply the term. And the good old white boy system is not limited to white people. It is controlled by white men, but they use many people to conceal and cover up, to propagate this system. The report was done that Akron had excluded African Americans from economic opportunities. That report was done at the time where we had an African American president of city council. And how can that happen? How does the system exclude African Americans? Because it is a good old white boy system. When you have political capital to finance the campaigns of your friends, so that they can silence the voice of those who would offer an adverse opinion of yours or vote against you. That's that system that is being spoke of. When you declare a party that is not your party simply to get voted in, but you push the agenda of your other party, of your true party, and you don't face any retaliation or any blowback from that, that's that system. When when you use black people to hurt black people because you got the political capital to do it, that's part of that system. When you retire from a job with the city, and the city brings you back under a contract making about $90,000, that's that system. When you have that charade that things are fair and equitable and that the process is being followed, but you really know it's not, that's that system that is being spoke of. And when you sit silently and watch this stuff happen and you benefit from it, that's that good old, but here's the good news. That system is crumbling, and we will do everything in our power to push that system into non-existence because it's not fair and it's not equitable. And so I just wanted to.
Good evening, Akron City Council. This is Carol Coleman Crane, owner of Team Towing and Service at 645 Carroll Street in Ward 5 in Akron. I want to thank you, each one of you, for your constructive communication today, and as it pertains to including team towing in the towing districts for the city of Akron. I just want to say that for clarification purposes, Wards 1 and 2 are being serviced by Bowers. Those different names of those two different companies are Wilson's and Bowers. Bob Bowers, unfortunately, has passed on probably about 6 months ago, and whomever is operating his businesses, I've assumed those two wards, Ward 1 and 2. Greg's Towing is servicing Wards 3 and 5. Ward 5 is where my business is located. Those two names of those businesses are Greg's Towing and Bondurant's Towing. Bondurant's Towing is Ward 5. Ward 5 is where Team Towing and Service is located. Ward 4 is being serviced by Johnny's. John owns Interstate Towing as well, which is in Twinsburg. Ward 6 and Ward 7 is being serviced by Miller's, is Ward 6, and Stan's is Ward 7. I know it can be confusing. The map kind of helps, I think, a little bit. But I am anxious for Ward 5, for where our business is located. And I want to really thank each one of you for taking the time to learn. It is kind of complicated the way they're set up. But I don't think it would be difficult to put, just change the wards for the towing companies that are servicing 2 wards apiece to just move some things around as far as the towing companies that are servicing those wards. I want to thank each one of you for your consideration and for the time that you've spent on this, and for those of you that have visited my business, and those of you that are in the community that we've serviced, or you've said to me that you see our trucks everywhere and how good our trucks look and how professional our drivers look. So I look forward to being included in the towing district for the city of Akron, and I remain hopeful for a fair and equitable distribution of towing districts in the city of Akron. Thank you again.
I am Bill, B-I-L-L, Nesbitt, N-E-S-B-I-T-T, at 1155 Diagonal Road, Akron, Ohio, 44307, PO79. I urged continually to having at the very least, drop-off box on the original location of our Akron Bureau of Public Utilities on High Street, particularly with the postal challenge we're having. Vital for many people, possibly that same-day payment ordered in a way, and not have to wonder about how things are through the mail, or make possibly a difficult trip or cause an inconvenience. New location. Thus it all will justice, and we at least have that drop-off spot at an original Akron Bureau of Public Utilities High Street location. Look forward to resuming our operations there so that we can have that right-of-way aid that we've had historically for fosters for our Akron community. All have a great 1921 winter spring season years.
That concludes our public comments for this evening. I do want to thank our council clerk, Sarah, for sending the comments to the appropriate department so that we can be intentional to follow up on comments received and to get concerns addressed. At this time, we will move into our committee assignments. Rules, Councilman Freeman.
2:30.
Public Safety, Councilman Kamer.
2:15.
Budget and Finance, Councilman Freeman.
3 p.m.
Parks and Rec, Councilman Neal.
1:45.
Planning and Economic Development, Councilman Fusco.
1.
Housing and Neighborhood Assistance, Councilman Fusco.
Subject to a call.
Public Service, Councilwoman Samples.
2 p.m.
Health and Social Services, Councilwoman Amobian.
2:30.
Public Utilities and Green Committee, Councilman Freeman.
2:45.
Is there anything coming before council at this time? Councilwoman Samples?
Thank you, Madam President. I just want council to send a prayer out for the family of Melva Foster. Many of us knew Miss Melva. She was a pillar in our community, and she worked on everyone's Democratic campaign. She was a force to be reckoned with, and she will be missed. She will be truly missed by each and every one of us who knew her, and by those who didn't know her. At some point, she touched your campaign, probably didn't even know it. And I just want us all to think of her family and keep them in prayer.
Thank you so much, Councilwoman Samples, for mentioning that. Councilman Neal?
Thank you, Madam President. I join with my colleague, Ms. Samples, in asking that we honor Ms. Foster. I also want to lift up someone that not directly from Akron, but had an impact in Akron in this region. We lost an elder who's now an ancestor, in Dr. Crosby. You know, as you are blessed to get older, we kind of all experience a little bit of that Green Mile experience. If any of you have seen the movie The Green Mile, where you live and you see those that have left an imprint on your life pass on, and you start to take life, just the ability to talk to people, to sit in their presence, to soak in that wisdom, that much more, you cherish it more. So as we lift up the family of Sister Melba Foster, I ask that we also lift up the family of Dr. Crosby, the Kent State Pan-African Studies Department, the Council of Elders, and all those who he's touched. Just thankful to have known him and been able to sit in his presence.
Thank you so much, Councilman Neal, for bringing up Dr. Crosby. Councilwoman Amobian?
Thank you, Madam President. I join my colleagues in recognizing both of those individuals, especially Melva, who, as Councilwoman Samples said, she was a pillar in the community. I mean, always extremely helpful, never wanting anything in return, just wanted to be about electing people she felt were good people that would do good work. And she was absolutely fabulous and extremely helpful. And we certainly share in the family's grief, and we wish them well in knowing that she was loved by so many. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Amobian. Is there anything else coming before council at this time?
Motion to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn. If there are no objections, meeting adjourned.
This concludes the live broadcast of Akron City Council. Margot Somerville, President of Council, presiding.